Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. Now, I've got to talk about, how things always go wrong just as I'm about to do a live. You might, I almost thought, God, I can't do this live. I was scrolling like you do through the old Twitter feed. Now, I don't know about you. I mean, in this video, we're going to talk about Samantha Murphy. I realised this morning, in 2 days, it'll be a 2-year anniversary since poor Samantha disappeared when she went for a run one Sunday morning. Sorry, that's not what I'm crying about, but that's upsetting as it is. Anyway, that's what I am going to be talking about. I want to remember Samantha. Finally, the trial of the person who's accused of killing her will be held in April. So, less time to go now. But as I say, that's not why I'm upset. But I don't know about you, but this whole, and I'm not going to talk about it in a video, I decided I just can't do it because it's upset me too much. This whole Epstein files thing. It's just like, how can anything more horrible come up? Like, to be talked about and nobody's getting arrested. What the fuck is going on? Sorry, I'm just so angry. And then just now, before I came on stream, like I normally do, and I'm sitting down just getting ready to go on stream, I thought I'd just have a look because really I go on Twitter or X, whatever they call it now. It's for the true crime stuff to see if there's been any news about any of the cases. But of course, at the moment, it's just chocker with all this stuff about the child lovers and this, that, and the other. And this video came up on there. I don't even know how it could. It could. Anyway, it wasn't graphic or anything, but it was like, I think it was a prelude to something graphic, and there was a child in it. It just really got to me. God, this is ridiculous. As I say, once I realised where it was, it just, you can just hide it. Like, I was just thinking, what is wrong with people? There's this whole world being run by fucking monsters. How could they do that to children? I don't know. Anyway, it's really upset me. I'm sorry, I can't get it out of my head now. So this is the problem, isn't it, with social media? Videos just pop up there. Just pop up there before you think, well, what's that? And then before you know it, you've seen something that you can't unsee. And what do you do then? What do you fucking do then? Can't even have a drink because I've got dry flights. I'd probably just like to have a bottle of vodka and obliterate it from that memory. But I just don't know. Honestly, the world is terrible at the moment. It's just like, it's too depressing. And no wonder young people, no wonder there's an explosion of bloody mental health problems. I mean, when I was younger, all these things went on, but you weren't seeing it day in, day out on your computer or hearing about it, but it's really, really upset me. It just literally about 2 minutes before I came on air. And then meanwhile, you've got YouTube demonetizing my videos for whatever reason that I don't even know. And then people are putting videos like that on Twitter. I mean, they're putting it on there, to say it's bad. They weren't putting it on there to say it was good. It's like when people people put videos up about animal abuse and that they're against animal abuse. But I can't watch that either. You don't need, you'll have two sorts of people. You'll have people who get off on them sort of things. Some people get off on it, and other people who get upset by it. So what good is it doing? People know those things are bad, or most people do. Dear God, this world, honestly. Why has nobody been arrested? And then you'll have Andrew there. He's just moved from one mansion to another, and then they're going to turn around and say he's been punished. The royal family is rotten to the core. All of them. They're just covering up. And seeing that video, even though it's just literally the start of, I watched about 10 seconds. Just, this is what the reality of it is. It's not even those just see a picture of Andrew on all fours over a girl. You're talking about there'll be videos out there what children have really experienced, or young girls or boys really experienced. The truth is worse than the photos from the Epstein files. The truth is worse. But anyway, oh my God, I've got to just calm myself down. But in this part of me, I don't want to calm down because I want to be outraged. The day that we get used to, that's how it feels. I feel like when you look on the social media, everyone's moaning about it, but nothing's actually happening. Complaining about it. And in the meanwhile, Andrew's living in a palace. Just a smaller palace than he was living in, but he's still living in luxury. Still, nothing's being done. None of the other people, nobody's being held to account. So you've got her, Ghislaine Maxwell. She's in an open prison, probably doing yoga. Epstein's dead. At least I hope he's met his justice now. No, what about the others? God. Right, I'm going to take deep breaths. God, when you see something and you just cannot unsee it. But as I say, I'm glad that I'm outraged. I'm glad it upsets me, because when the fucking day comes, when those sort of things don't upset me, then I'll know. I'll be dead or something. But, that's wrong, isn't it? It should upset you. People should be fuming. They should be fuming that nobody's being held to account. Gosh. I think I liked life better when we didn't have social media. There's things obviously that I do like about. I wouldn't be here talking to you guys, would I, without the internet and stuff like that. And they're the positive things, but God, was it better? Life was simpler. You only knew what was going on around the corner. Oh, I don't know. Maybe it was just because I was young. Maybe it was depressing for my mum and dad. I don't know if they took notice of newspapers and stuff. I don't know. Maybe just when you're young, you don't take notice. But of course, after COVID, especially, young people do take notice because they're in there on their phones, and that sort of thing is popping up to young people as well. I can't cope with it. How are young people coping with it, or are they becoming desensitized to it? They just scroll on to the next horrible thing. Oh dear. Anyway, right. I'm going to pull myself together. Sorry. Just get my tea. Thank God, I literally wish it was a vodka. Okay. Breathe deep. So, I want to say thank you, first of all, as always. Thank you to all of you for putting up with me, for watching, for liking, for subscribing. A very special thank you to my members. Thank you to people that have sent me Ko-fis for the computer fund, etc. Thank you so much. I really am blessed that people are so kind. And I know that 90% of people, or probably more, are kind and wouldn't dream of doing things that these people are doing. And we just have to be united in our outrage against them, don't we? Now, what is it when people get rich and famous that they turn into paedophiles? Or, oh God, probably YouTube will pick me up for that, and they'll. But what? Why do people do that? Or are they the type of person that gets attracted to those kind of lifestyles? Not every politician surely can be. Surely there are conviction politicians. I don't mean that have been convicted, but politicians who want to change the world for the best, not just use their position to abuse children or anyway. So, yeah, thank you. Special thank you to my members. Special thank you to those of you who've bought me a Ko-fi, sent super stickers, given me suggestions for cases, or just generally left nice comments, nice messages. Any of you that have contributed to my channel in any positive way, thank you so much. And now, thank you, lovely lurkers. Thank you for watching. Thank you, replay crew, for watching this later if you've not been able to catch the live. Sorry about my blubbering. And now I'm going to come into the chat and see who's in the chat. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. So part of me wishes I wasn't sensitive to it. And then part of me, I say, I'm glad that I am, because when the day comes that I'm not sensitive to these sort of things, might as well forget that I'm a human being, really. Hi, Westside. Hi, David. Hi, Lily. Hi, Daniel. Happy Monday. Yeah, happy Monday. On Monday, the best day of the week, isn't it? Hi, Bluebell. Hope you're well. Hi, Lily. I don't think you'll ever get arrested, Bluebell. I really don't. I think, do you know what? I think before they'll let him be arrested, they will kill him off. Because that royal family, they're just clutching at their own skins now. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. Oh, sorry, Angel. Just something that I saw on Twitter or X. Just a video that came up. I only watched 10 seconds of it. And it was, it was about a child. And it was, I think it was a bad video. And there was the title, if you like, was, the tweet was something like they need to lock these animals up or something like that. I can't remember. I don't know who tweeted it. Because the thing is, once you, like my son was, because I said to number one son, I said, why am I getting all these things up? I said, I don't interact with them. I don't click like, and he said, no, but if you read it, he said it Twitter or X, it notices how long you're on there. You don't even have to press the heart or repost or whatever. If you stop and read it or watch the video or whatever, they know. So they'll then keep, because I get a lot of right-wing stuff up as well, for Trump and all that crap. And I don't ever interact, well, not positively. Probably sometimes I do interact, like having a little rant or whatever. So now I feel like I've got to scroll really quick down, because if I stay on it, now that I know that, I think, oh God, if I stay on it for 2 seconds, it'll start sending me all these other things that I don't want to see. So I'm thinking of coming out off Twitter. I've thought about it for ages, but sometimes on Twitter, I do get information. What the hell's that in front? That must be a fly on the, what was that on? Sometimes it does give me information, about cases we covered, because the fresh information seems to come out first on X. So I don't really want to come off X, but I don't know how to stop seeing all these other things. But anyway, don't know. So I hope I'm not I'm scrolling down. You're all chatting. Yeah, that's it. Hi, Moonbeam. Yeah, that's it. I've been an empath. It's good. Again, it's nice in one way, but sometimes it's just exhausting because you can't switch off. Can't switch off from things. I can't see that thing. Oh, I wish I hadn't seen that. I'll be thinking about that now for weeks. Probably it'll keep flashing back on me, and it was literally maybe not even 10 seconds that I watched, and there was nothing in it except the child and this. Oh, anyway, I don't want to talk about it, but some people don't notice anything going on around them, do they? But anyway, never mind. That's the way I am. I can't change it. Can't change it. Can't change the way I am, and I say I'm glad that I am. I'm glad that it upset me, because when the day comes that I could watch something like that and it not upset me, then there's something wrong, isn't there? But now I know some people have to, like if you're a police officer or a detective or you're a criminal prosecutor, you have got to be dispassionate, haven't you? That's why I couldn't do it. That's why I couldn't. Well, I could do it, be a prosecution lawyer quite easily, but I don't think I couldn't do the defense lawyer thing. And like if you were, say, you're a psychologist or whatever, you'd still have to go and talk to evil people. I can't switch off from it. But anyway, never mind. Yeah, Gaza's another thing. You know what I mean? So the thing is, this world is huge, and there's lots of terrible things happening in it. You just can't assimilate it all. Anyway, okay, let's get on to talking about Samantha, which is also sad, of course. But those of you who followed my channel for a while, can you believe it's been 2 years? On the 4th of February, it will have been 2 years since Samantha Murphy, let's get up some photos of her. Samantha Murphy, 51 years of age, mother to 3 children, wife to Mick, got up one Sunday morning because she was training for a marathon. Cleared up after a dog outside, like probably she did every morning. And off she went into the outback, into the bush. Was it the bush, not the outback? Near Ballarat in Australia. Here she is, you should be able to see. Let's have a look, make sure it's sharing. Hang on. Yeah. Woke up one morning, off she went for a Sunday morning run into the bush near Ballarat, Australia, where she lived with her husband Mick, her 3 children. They had a panel beating business together. I presume Mick has still got the panel beating business. And it was just a normal Sunday morning, 4th of February 2024. Said she'd be back in about an hour. They had a family brunch planned later that day. And she ran off into the bush and never came home. And to this day, we still do not know where she is. So the police say they know what happened to her, but her remains have not been found, have they? But some of her possessions have been found. So all this time later, so we've still got to wait till April for the trial. So it's still 2 months before the trial, but at least you feel like it, we're in the same year now. just seems to have gone on forever. Anyway, the man or boy, well, he is a man, Patrick Stephenson, he is in prison and he's been charged with the murder of Samantha Murphy. So, do you remember this was a case that in the initial stages the police were adamant, no suspicious circumstances, we've got nothing to say that anything untoward has happened to Samantha. There was some suspicion, from everyone, including me, initially against her husband Mick, which is pretty standard, isn't it? Because often it is the spouse, when someone goes missing, it is the spouse that has done something to them. And that would have been difficult for him, of course, difficult for the kids, not knowing what had happened to their mom. And Samantha's children ranged in age then, I think it was from 18 to 10. Three children, the youngest was 10, 9 or 10 at the time, the oldest, I think, 17, 18, and then a middle one in the middle. So, young children as well, and not that it makes any difference, still be horrible whoever loses their mum, but you know what I'm saying, for the 10-year, you always feel more for the younger ones. Um, anyway, some time went by, nothing. There were many searches, nothing was found, and I think we were all hoping, like you do in the beginning when someone goes missing, that maybe Samantha had tripped, fallen, couldn't use her phone for whatever reason. Maybe she was unconscious out there somewhere, but alive. Um, and the police were called quite quickly, so just later that day, I think when she hadn't come home an hour later, Mick went out looking for her, didn't find her, so then he called the police. So if she had have had an accident, she would have been found okay and would have been recovered. She would have broke her ankle, broke her knee, leg, or something like that. Anyway, of course, there was always a concern why she hadn't phone. She had her phone with her, but sometimes there's no signal, is there, in the outback, etc. In the bush, I should say. So, anyway, she wasn't found. Nothing was found. No trace of Samantha were found. The police was saying no, definitely not foul play, like they do. And then suddenly, boom, out of the blue, the police did a press conference and they said that, in their opinion, Samantha was subject of a targeted attack, not an accident, and they believed that she was dead. Now, we don't know, and we won't find out to the trial why the police said that, whether it was some information off her Fitbit or if she had some sort of watch on that sort of showed those kind of things, or if they had some CCTV or some, we don't know. So there's a lot we don't know. In fact, really, we don't know bugger all, do we? Because the police have been very tight-lipped. This is Australia, so it'd be similar to in the mushroom murder trial, where we didn't know anything, did we, until the trial, and then all these things came out, didn't they? All the circumstantial evidence that the police had against Erin Patterson, and it was unequivocal, wasn't it, in the end, that she was going to get found guilty, or it felt like that, even though there wasn't a smoking gun. I think this might be the case in this case because they haven't found Samantha's remains, though they've been out there with the accused. So, not that long ago, before Christmas, I think it was about October time, they were out there with Patrick Stephenson, who's the man who's been charged with murdering Samantha. And there was hope that maybe Samantha's remains would have been found, but she wasn't. But they did find her phone, didn't they? They found her phone in that dam. So that will have given them another load of evidence. Apparently, this case has got an unprecedented amount of data evidence. And that's probably what the case will run. If it comes to trial, I still got this feeling that will this boy or this man um, actually go to trial, or will he change his plea somewhere along the line? Well, he's only got a couple of months to do it. Surely his lawyer will have seen the evidence against him by now. I don't know how it works in Australia, whether it's similar to America, where the disclosure, they have to disclose. I presume they do because, oh, sorry, just let me take the banner off. I've just realised it's still on. I presume they do have to disclose because the defence has to have time to prepare, doesn't it? So I presume that they do. Now, what some people, of course, think he's not guilty. Well, we're all innocent till we're proven guilty, of course. That is a fact. I think his girlfriend's standing by him, his mum is standing by him. He's in prison and he's changed. I mean, when we look at these photos of him, um, he's got this sort of baby face. And although he's wiry, you can, and because he's the son of like a bit of a sort of sporting legend over there in Ballarat, and he's played Australian football and things like that. And he had a girlfriend. He was a tradie. He had a job. He liked to drink. We've seen videos of him when he's out drinking and snorting cocaine. He likes to enjoy himself. But, most young people do that. And I think what surprised everybody when this guy was arrested, I think he was only 21 when he was actually arrested. And, a lot of people, oh, well, it does seem young, doesn't it? But you know what? 21 years old. Maybe he's a fledgling serial killer for all we know. Just good that he has been stopped in his tracks if he's guilty. I feel like this was a crime of opportunity. Maybe he was just driving home, or nobody else has been charged. So nobody else, the police have said that nobody else is involved, but of course that might not be true. We don't know if that's true or not, or if they're just saying that to put someone at their ease. Did he just see Samantha running? And was he drunk, drugged up, whatever? He'd certainly been out the night before. Just took the opportunity because he saw a woman on her own, in a vulnerable position. Or did he know her? I mean, the police say there's no evidence that they knew each other. But, again, we'll see at the trial what the truth of everything is. Did he know her? Did he lie in wait for her? Or was it just he happened to go past? This is what happens. Sometimes people are in the wrong place at the wrong time, aren't they? You get someone like that. Now, I can't say he had no criminal convictions. I think he had had an accident, hadn't he, on his motorbike, where he ended up in hospital, again, probably drugged up, drunk, or combination of the two. Had an argument with a tree, but he sort of, that was brushed off. He's only just been charged for that. Because he's like a good old Australian boy, do you know what I mean? His dad, I bet his dad's a little celebrity in that area. And, sometimes it's not what you know or what you do, it's who you know and what they do for you, isn't it? So because he's sort of like a young, I don't know, middle class white boy or Australian boy, maybe he got, sort of looked over more than he would have done if he had a different background. I don't know, but we might find that out at the trial. Anyway, the only thing we do know is the police say he murdered that morning. He, in a targeted attack, that is their specific words, he murdered Samantha and hid her body. Now, that's obviously a long time ago, 2 years ago. So if Samantha's remains are ever found, which I sincerely hope they are one day, it's not body now that they're looking for, is it? It's skeletal remains, and there may have been animal activity. And there's been talk that she might be down a mine shaft, or there's been several searches, what the police call, targeted searches. I feel that the police think they know where they think she is, but as we've just recently seen with Celine Kremer in Tasmania, 2.5 years it's taken for her to be found. So, that sort of gives us hope as well that if Celine was found after 2.5 years, there is a chance that Samantha will be found after it's now been 2 years practically. But again, why the police think that the particular area that they've been searching is where she will be found, I don't know. Okay, so this is her and her husband Mick when they were younger, and it's funny because neither of them have changed. Like that, Mick looks the same, just older, and the same with Samantha. She's even got her hair more or less the same. Some people don't change much, do they, over the years? They've been married for a long time. I hope Mick is okay. This is her daughter. It's Jessie, isn't it? The oldest daughter. She spoke at a press conference right at the beginning of all this, when this all started. So they've now gone 2 Christmases without their mum, without Mick, without his wife, and all their attention, I'm sure, will be focused on getting through this trial and hoping that they will get some answers. Will Patrick Stephenson end up confessing? Erin didn't, did she? Erin Patterson, she's still not confessing. So maybe he won't, as long as he thinks he's got a chance of getting off with this crime if he committed it. And we have to say allegedly, don't we? But, I'm a strong believer that cases like this, they don't normally make it to a court case unless, unless there's strong evidence, do they? The thing is that most cases that get to court, the reason why the bigger majority of cases end up with a guilty verdict is just to get a case to court, you've got to show that you've got enough evidence to convict, haven't you? So, that's what you've got to make clear to either the grand jury or the DA or whoever it is, the public Crown Prosecution Service, whatever country you're in. First thing you've got to do is show them that you have enough evidence to convict before you can even, go anywhere near a trial. So, and what the police were saying is that they've got this, or what has come up in hearings before, is, that there's this massive amount of evidence. Let's just have a look, see if I can find out more information about it. Right, so let's go to what it says on the AI overview. So the case against Patrick Stephenson, let me just make sure that's shown for you. Yeah. The case against Patrick Stephenson for the murder of Samantha Murphy relies on an unprecedented volume of evidence, primarily extensive CCTV footage, mobile phone data, and forensic analysis. Despite her body not being found, she was last seen on the 4th of February 2024 with phone data indicating a location in Mount Clear. So so the key evidence and developments as of early 2026. CCTV footage, extensive footage was analysed to track movements in the Ballarat East and Mount Clear areas. Mobile phone data. Samantha's phone was found in April 20. God, is that April? God, oh my God, I can remember that like it was yesterday. Do you remember when they found her phone? Uh, that's nearly a year ago, for God's sake. Oh, I don't know where the time goes. So in April 2024, near a dam, roughly 5 kilometres from where it last transmitted, helping pin down the timeline. GPS and tech analysis. Data from her phone, an Apple Watch she had, not a Fitbit, indicated a 7 kilometre run through Karung Regional Park with a possible anomaly in the data. And the forensic investigation. Police have conducted forensic dog and aerial searches, including searching for a body in the Enfield State Forest and surrounding Ballarat areas. I thought right from the beginning she is going to be found. I have to keep that thought with me that she's going to be found. They're going to be able to take her home for her family to lay her to rest in a decent manner. And I'll tell you what, that Patrick Stephenson, if he's guilty, he should get an extra year for every day that he has kept the body from that woman's body from her children and her husband. You know, sometimes what you do after a murder is worse than what the murder itself, I think. You know, what people do to dispose of evidence and stuff is often crueler. You know, at the end of the day, who knows how and why he killed Samantha, if he did it, allegedly. It wasn't an accident, you know, because initially people were thinking, oh, maybe he knocked her over, you know, because he was drunk or whatever, but it wasn't. The police are very specific in their language. A targeted attack, you know, that is not an accident, is it? But then what he did afterwards, now, did he involve anybody else? Well, what he allegedly did afterwards, did he involve anybody else in covering up Samantha's death? Or has he done it all himself? Now, he's a strong guy. On those photos of him, the early photos that were released, he looks, as I say, looks quite wiry, and you can tell he's athletic, but he doesn't look like that big, you know. But I tell you, on the court, when he's appeared in court, he must have been going to the gym or something. He's massive, and he's got one of those great big beards now, like those. Don't know if he's converted to be a Muslim or not. I don't think so, but he's got one of those great big sort of beards that don't go right up to your sideburns. Yeah, and he hasn't said much in his court appearances. Just sat there to say yes, no, whatever. Sat looking like butter wouldn't melt, like they all do, don't they? You know, gosh. And as we know, you know, these monsters, they walk amongst us. You know, there'll be people out there who living in that area will have had him in their house to do tradie work and things. People who've been out for a drink with him, people who know him. You don't know who monsters are until you find out who they are. You know, often they're the least offensive looking or seeming person. No, I bet it'll come up when it all comes out. People will be saying, "Oh, he seemed like such a nice lad. Yeah, I made him a cup of tea in my house." Or, "Oh, yeah, he was so kind. He used to, you know, walk my dog for me." Or, you know, this is what always happens, isn't it? These people, They walk amongst us, the bad people. It's hard to tell sometimes who's good and who's bad, isn't it? Because the ones that seem good, often they aren't, unfortunately. Anyway, and then the next piece of evidence mentioned here is the accused movements. People have investigated the accused location and potential undisclosed information from him. So, yeah, I think we're going to find out so much when the trial starts, just like with Erin Patterson, if it comes to a trial. So the accused, Patrick Stephenson, 23, he's only 23 now, for God's sake, was charged with murder in March 2024 and pleaded not guilty, with a trial pending in the Supreme Court. The case continues to face delays. Oh no, due to the massive amount of evidence being processed. Does that mean it's not even going to happen in April? I mean, I'm saying, oh no, not only for us, but for the family. They'll just want it over, won't they? They just want it over. I mean, it'll never be over in a way. So look, key evidence collected. Just let me come back, make sure you're all okay. Hi, old hippie. Hope you're well. We're still here wondering what's going to happen with Samantha. Well, very sadly, still, no news. I mean, the thing is, there hasn't been any news for ages now. They did some searches back in October, didn't they? And then every time they go back, do some more searches, we get all excited. We think, oh God, this will be the one, this will be the time. Is he? Because they said he wasn't cooperating. But I know for a fact they've taken him out there. Now, is that because he was cooperating? Or is that because they've made him go? But nothing again was found. So very sad and frustrating. You look how it is for us. So how will that feel to Mick and the children? Just wanting to know. I know the police have told them in no uncertain terms that their mum is dead in their opinion. But that's still, there's probably a little tiny bit of hope. I don't know, you would, I suppose. I think this not knowing, not having a body, it's bad enough when your loved one is murdered or something happens to them. But not knowing 100% certain, having the body, having it forensically tested, and knowing there is your loved one, then you've got a certainty, haven't you? And you can, lay them to rest. And, people use that horrible word closure. It's not closure, of course, but it is a resolution. It is knowing, not going to be spending the rest of your life wondering where they're lying out there in the bush. You would be out there looking for them. I'm sure that Mick does still, probably as much as you can. You just couldn't stop yourself, could you? So the key evidence collected is digital and surveillance data. Investigators have reviewed roughly 12,000 hours of CCTV footage. Wow. And this extensive surveillance forms a core part of the prosecution's brief. Personal belongings. In May 2024, Murphy's mobile phone and wallet containing her ID cards were found on the bank of an agricultural dam near Durham Lead, around 20 kilometres south of Ballarat. And we saw them find that. Wasn't that one of those very special dogs that found it that can sniff out SIM cards and things like that? I think that was how that was found, I think. Technical experts. The prosecution intends to call several specialists as witness, including a DNA expert, a digital data specialist, a phone data specialist, and an expert in road crash reconstruction. Now, that might be how he disabled Samantha, is by crashing into her. But why would he do that? Why would he do that? Why would he crash into it? Just because he was high as a kite and he thought it might be funny? Anyway, site visits. In April 2025, the accused, Patrick Stephenson, was reportedly taken by police to bushland areas near Ballarat, suggesting a focus on specific geographic evidence or the search for Samantha's remains. I would really love to know if he was taken there willingly, if he offered to go there to tell them where she was, or was he made to go there? Can you make someone go there? And maybe he'd be glad to go there just for a day out. The thing is, sometimes these twonks, um, even though they've got no intention of saying where their victims are, they like to go out on these jaunts because it gets them out of the prison for the day. So that might, you might say, oh, all right, I'll go, just get out of the prison walls for a day. Um, that might be why he went, or maybe he was trying to. The thing is, if he's still he's pleading not guilty to murder. So maybe he's planning on some sort of accidental death thing, that was an accident. So maybe that's why they've got the crash reconstruction expert. I can honestly say I can't wait for this trial. It seems like such a long time coming. We have followed this case right from day one when Samantha went missing in February 2024. And, I think the reason why we get so involved in these kind of cases as well is when it's somebody just doing their normal routine, she wasn't out. I mean, not that it makes any difference in a way. You should be able to go out till 4 o'clock in the morning and, whatever, party or do whatever. But Samantha wasn't doing anything like that. She got up in the morning. She's a normal mum, wife and mother, working. Got up in the morning. She was training for a marathon. Went out to do a jog, and she was supposed to be back. It said she'd be back in an hour. I think it's the very normality of what she was doing when she disappeared that makes us all even more vested in these cases. Like with Nicola Bunny, because she was just there walking her dog, supposedly. She dropped kids off at school, went and walked her dog, and then disappeared into thin air. I think when these sort of cases happen, uh, it's it because it's the normality of it. Could be any of us, couldn't it? We all do that, don't we? We have our little routine. We get up, take the dogs out, or we go for a run. I don't go for a run, but some of you do, I'm sure. Go for a walk, go to the gym, whatever you do. These are normal things that people do, nothing out of the ordinary. And you would expect to be safe. Oh, bless. Thank you, old hippie. Thank you so much. That's very, very kind. Thank you. Yeah, that's a good point, David. Maybe they were trying to see his reaction. Yeah, but it makes me think of the Moors murderers. For those of you who know the case of the Moors murderers there in Manchester, Greater Manchester, on Saddleworth Moor. Ian Brady, because there's still one of those poor children, their victims, that they haven't found. And, he went out there a few times, didn't he? Didn't he go out there more than once to try and find Keith Bennett? But of course, it was many years later, and Ian Brady had already been in prison for quite a long time, so he was completely disorientated out on the moors. Now, that won't be the case with Patrick. Patrick's a young lad. He's only been locked up for a couple of years. So, you should remember exactly. Listen, if you've killed someone and buried them somewhere or put their remains somewhere, whether it's a mine shaft, behind a bush, dug a shallow grave, you bloody remember where it is. And I'm thinking about other cases, like the case of Russell Williams, um, the Canadian colonel. Now, if you've watched that interview, which is on my channel somewhere, when he finally cracks and decides to confess that he had killed the girl that they were interviewing him about, and he said, "Oh, get me a map," and he gave the bloody coordinates to where the body was. I know he was in the services, and maybe that's the way his mind worked. But I think these killers, they do know exactly where they've put bodies. That's my personal opinion. So thank you again, old hippie, for the donation. That's very kind. I think, and then there was the taxi driver. I can't remember his name, but I must do a video about him. Halliwell, isn't it? Christopher Halliwell. He was a taxi driver. He wasn't a serviceman. And when he was caught for one murder, he said to the police officer, "Do you want another one?" And he took him to the exact spot where another girl was. And in fact, the policeman got into a lot of trouble for that, because, in fact, he lost his job, his career, because the policeman that was dealing with him should really then, when they found the first girl, he'd taken him back to the station and offered him a lawyer and this, that, and the other. But he was, he was so. When Christopher Halliwell said, "Do you want another one?" Well, obviously he's going to say yes, because this is another poor soul where her mum didn't know where she was, and mum, she disappeared, and her mum was looking for her. So anyway, they found this other person. Unfortunately, they could not prosecute Christopher Halliwell for the murder, because then it was decided that it wasn't done properly, and because police have to follow a certain procedure, don't they? But nevertheless, her mum was happy that she'd found out where she was, even though it was the worst case scenario. But she'd found her remain. Mum spent all those years wondering what's happened to her, not even knowing if she's alive or dead. And Christopher Halliwell, he has gone to prison for life for the other murder, but he couldn't be prosecuted for that one. But the point I'm trying to get over is, I think these people, especially a young person like Patrick, it's not as if 20 years had gone by and he won't be able to remember where he'd buried her or where he'd put her. He was arrested a couple of months later. He knows where she is. He knows exactly where she is. And he's just, if he doesn't say exactly where she is, he's lying. He can't have forgotten. And also, I think it's part of the power for these killers, because in my opinion, I think if Patrick is guilty, he is a serial killer in the making. That was his first one. But if he got away with that one, would he go on and do another? Absolutely. Because I'll tell you what, I was thinking about the other day, it takes a lot to kill someone. A lot. Even someone you are so angry with, or you think of the person who's been the most horrible to you in your whole life, or imagine killing them. It's like, you might rant and rave at them, you might even punch them, you might, I don't know, but imagine to actually kill someone is a massive thing, a massive thing. And then to hide their body is an even bigger thing. So, my opinion, for him to do that and then to stay cool in prison, just waiting for his chance, hoping he's going to get away with it, knowing that that woman has got 3 children that need to know what's happened to their mum, knowing she's got a husband all those things. You've got to be a real sicko, haven't you? If he's guilty, I have to keep saying allegedly because, of course, he's not been tried yet. There will be people out there who don't think he's guilty. Maybe his mum doesn't think he's guilty. Maybe his girlfriend doesn't think he's guilty. I wonder how they'll feel when it comes to the trial. Because, as I said, the police think he's guilty. And I know the police aren't perfect. But to me, if they've gone as far as taking him to court, they've got enough evidence to be pretty sure that he is guilty, in my opinion. But let me know what you think, of course. I mean, maybe you disagree. Maybe you think Patrick Stephenson is guilty. So that's the evidence that they've got, isn't it? Let's see some other things here. So the accused is Patrick Oren Stephenson. He was arrested in March 2024 and charged with Samantha's murder. He is the son of a former AFL player. So they'll be like little celebrities in Ballarat. Because although his dad isn't a former AFL player, I don't think he played for them that often, but, they're treated like gods, aren't they? His plea is not guilty to the murder charge. And the trial timeline, the case has been fast-tracked. Oh, my, fast-tracked. Fast-tracked, my God. A trial is tentatively proposed for September 2025. Well, it's not. It is now. The next court appearance scheduled for March the 6th. So is there going to be a court appearance on March the 6th? Well, as far as I'm sure they said the trial will likely be in April. And missing remains despite extensive and ongoing searches in areas like the Canadian State Forest and Enfield State Park. Samantha Murphy's body has not been found. So there. I just wanted to come on as it was coming up to the anniversary, if that's the right word to say. I hate that word as far as crimes are concerned. And so it's coming up to the anniversary because you think of an anniversary as being a good thing. Isn't it like a wedding anniversary? If you think of wedding anniversaries as a good thing, there's some people who are thinking, oh God, not another year. But you know what I mean. So but what else can I say? It is the anniversary. So 4th of February. Coming up, and still no answers for the family. 2 years. And it makes, it's funny, isn't it? These little things that happen in life. And I think January was an absolutely shit month. Sorry, excuse my French, but it just was. It's been a horrible month, January, what with, with just, for me, things going wrong like the computer and the car key and the this and the that. Now, but when you look at it in the grand scheme of things, we all have these horrible days, bad days, don't we, where it feels like everything going wrong. But you know what, if you'd had to spend 2 years wondering what had happened to your loved one, and waiting for a trial, it's not much worse than that, is there? So, but yeah, life is a trial, isn't it? What was somebody said, somebody had tweeted out, sometimes tweets that got, I do think, oh, it's true. It's like sometimes we are in this parallel universe. So we put it, is it like life itself is a trial, isn't it? To put up with twonks and to try and cope with whatever life throws at you, from little things to big things. And there's people coping with massive things like, maybe dealing with cancer or, dealing with someone who's got severe mental health issues or, financial issues. Or do you know what? There'd be people out there who've got all of those problems. They've got financial problems, they've got health problems, they've got job problems, they've had a bereavement, life is a trial. So you have to pray, don't you, or thank. This morning when I dropped, at the moment, although it's a long journey to take my son to work, it is a beautiful drive, and just driving along and then getting there and it's the beach and it just looks beautiful, and I think, well, do you know what, this is all free. I've got it could be so much worse driving through concrete jungle, like to get there. So every little nice thing you can find, you have to hang on to, don't you? Every bit of positivity in your life, getting a hug from your loved one or your dog or your cat or whatever, all those things, little things, they are blessings, aren't they? And yet, but I'll tell you, I'm seriously thinking of coming off Twitter. I'm sorry about that earlier. See how I feel better now I've been chatting to you guys. And that's what I count my blessings for as well, is that I do have people out there who do seem to be on the same wavelength as me. So not everybody in this world is a bad person, and we do have to remember that. But just sometimes when you go, watch the news and go on social media, you just think, oh my God, are there any sort of decent people out there? But there are, and we're here, aren't we? So, yeah. Yeah, you're right, old hippie. But I think it is the terrain. As I say, I agree with you. It's like he's just some, you know, young lad, and he's up against the police. I mean, they've done well to find a phone and all that kind of thing, but I still think they will find her remains. I do think they will, but. Do you know what we could do with in this case is like what happened with Celine Kremer in Tasmania, because how she was found in the end, because the police had looked for her for 2.5 years off and not found her, and in the end it was a search party of her friends, a search party of her friends and volunteers that found her phone, and then it was another hiker who went out who found her remains. So it wasn't the police that found her. I do feel that the police sometimes, with their limit, they'll search for so long. But, they can't just be out there every day looking. But maybe that's what we could do within this case of Samantha. Um, an experienced search party like that maybe that they've had success like that, may volunteer searchers, maybe they can go out, maybe that's what will happen in the end. I found with these cases they're normally found by, I don't know, hunters or hikers or dog walkers, aren't they? So you think who's been buried in a bunker, David? Do you think that, what you think, Samantha, is there a golf course there? Are you talking about Donald Trump now? He likes to bury his ex-wives under bunkers so they can't be dug up again. God, oh yeah, but there are good people on X. I know what you're saying, David. But how do I stop these horrible things coming up? Like that video that upset me so much today, it literally was just there, and I'm thinking, by the time you've thought, oh, what's this? You've already seen the first 10 seconds of it. And then when it dawned on me what it was, I couldn't unsee it then, so. Oh, is there a golf course there then? Yeah. Yeah. Well, as far as I know, old hippie, unless we don't know, because there hasn't been any searches since October. Or I think it was October, the last one. But that doesn't mean to say that they're not going out there searching, just that they don't necessarily tell us. What I've noticed covering different cases is the Australian police are keep things very close to their chest, don't they? Much more so than the American police. or law enforcement, or that's how it feels to me. Um, but yeah, they could be out there on a regular basis for all we know. But that boy, oh man, he knows where she is. He knows exactly where she is. He's not going to be able to. Oh, I've forgotten where I put her. What a load of rubbish. I mean, he's a young lad. It was not that long ago. He knows exactly where he's put her. He knows that area inside out. He knows where she is, and he's keeping it from those kids and her husband. And he should get an extra year if he's found guilty, of course, because it's allegedly. He should get another year for every week or even day that he keeps that from that family, knowing what they're going through. Again, in my opinion. Anyway, I know you'll let me know what you think in comments. Thank you for caring about Samantha. This is a case that I will be following. Well, God, hoping that it gets sorted out in my lifetime. It's going on that long. But I will be sticking with it right to the end. And as always, if there is any news, I will be straight on to tell you about it. But yeah, there hasn't been any news for a while. But when I just noticed that it was coming up to the 4th of February, which is when she first went missing, I wanted to come on and remember her, talk about her. I'll be sending prayers out for her family, but also that she's found that this boy relents. If I was this man's mother, and my son is older than this man, I would be pleading with him to tell where she is. Now, she may be, for all I know, she may be doing that, or maybe she believes that he had nothing to do with it. So I don't know. Okay, so thank you again, old hippie, for the Kofi. That'll go towards the computer fund. Thank you. And I really appreciate that. And thank you all for watching and caring about Samantha. I'll see you very soon in the next video. And until then, please press like and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, may your God go with you. Thank you.